Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell, and I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I am the owner of Maxwell's Fitness Programs, and I've been in business for the past 25 years. This is titled A Method to the Madness, just like my first book, because I like to talk about why things work, what makes things happen, get a little bit behind the scenes of like why we make the decisions we should and why sometimes we don't. So let's learn a little bit more about the method to the madness. So today I want to talk a little bit about planning the workout. So, as I've said in the past, and I'll say it again, that the name of my business has been Maxwell's Fitness Programs since I started, because I've always believed in programming. I believe in sitting down and using that good objective brain to figure out what is good for somebody, what they need to do. So let's dive in. So I said a second ago, use that good objective brain. Did you know that there's at least two of me, maybe even more, who knows? But, call it what you want. We all have that good objective brain that can think, that can reason, can be objective, can plan, can kind of like predict, to some extent, see into the future. And then we have that other side, right? Which is the real one, I guess. Who knows? But, that other one is pretty emotional, goes more by feeling, doesn't think always in terms of what's best, but thinks in terms of how things feel. And typically we're in the moment with that one there, and that's not such a bad thing in some ways. But when it comes to bettering ourselves, when it comes to like what is ultimately best for us down the road, we have to use that side of us that plans, that can be objective. All right, so for example, like if you know you're supposed to go to the gym and do what you're supposed to do, it. Let's say you work out on a plan with your trainer, whatever, 3 times a week, or maybe you go to the gym and work out by yourself 3 times a week. And you should. I mean, it's kind of planned out. So there's no doubt you know that. Yet you don't. You miss 1, you miss 2, maybe you miss all 3 in that week. And what might the reasons be? Well, it could be you didn't feel like it. It wasn't a big enough priority at the moment. But whatever, you typically let things get in the way. Most of the time it simply didn't feel right. You didn't feel like it. You didn't, get a little lazy, whatever happens. But that's not to disparage somebody here. I'm trying to talk about the beauty of planning and how we have to learn that there's 2 of us here. So, which one are you? Are you the one that planned it during the week and knows it's best? Or are you the one that woke up to the plan and decided you didn't want to go? Well, ultimately, you're more of the planner, believe it or not, because you absolutely know what's best. You just didn't feel like it. And we all have these psychological tools we use, rationalization is one. Well, I know I'm going to put in a hard workout. That's a psychological tool that we all use when we basically let ourselves down or we get let down. So, the psych major in me loves pulling that stuff back up and, going, well, it's just rationalization. Or if somebody does you wrong, when in reality they really did do you wrong, we rationalize it. Well, they had good intentions. It's like, so, we can rationalize all we want, but the bottom line is we failed ourselves, or somebody failed us, and that's what it is. So when we know we're supposed to work out and we don't work out, we're essentially letting ourselves down. So the beauty of plans is that at least you're giving yourself a shot, because the objective self, which I think is the true self, can sit there and tell yourself, if you write your own plan, or we do it for people, that's our job, plan it out. We're at least being objective. And we're giving ourselves a shot. And the more we do that, the more we fall in line and do what we're supposed to do, the better we feel. It's just we have to learn that. And sometimes people haven't learned that enough, So, I've never been in the military. I've had friends that have been in the military, and they all talk about their boot camp experience, and whether it's now or whether it's years ago. It's pretty much the same. For the most part, the objective side says, I want to go in. I think this is going to be good for me. I feel like it's a win-win because my country needs somebody like me, and this is going to be good for me because I need to possibly get a little more disciplined, or I don't know what else I'm going to do, so I want to do this and do it to my fullest, and then get my GI Bill and go to college, whatever. So the one that really wants what's best for you, the true you, being your best friend, says this is a good idea. Then you're about a week into boot camp, and the other side says, this absolutely sucks. I hate this. I want out. I don't want to get up in the morning and do, these exercises. I don't want to make my bed perfectly. I don't want to have only so much time to eat my breakfast. I don't want to follow every marching order. I don't want to do it. Why? Well, because it's hard and it doesn't feel good. Nobody really wants to do things at the moment that doesn't feel good. It's a myth that people love to exercise, love to do push-ups. No, people who seem like they love it have been doing it long enough to appreciate the benefits from it, and they don't want to feel like they let themselves down. It's not that they're in love with agonizing pull-ups or whatever they might be. So then let's get back to the enlisted person. Then they get through their boot camp, they make it through, and I've known many people that this has been true, and they get out, and what do they miss the most? They miss that routine and discipline, because they had somebody making them do what was absolutely best for them, because they knew deep down they might fail themselves and not go. And it's just part of, it's human nature. We have to go against how we feel. It's human nature. Everybody goes by how they feel. And I love, it might get overdone, but I love that line, The Rock, the professional wrestler and actor, always says, it doesn't matter how you feel. There's a lot of truth to that. It absolutely doesn't matter how you feel in most cases concerning this, So let you in on a little inside of what people, in the allied health do, and that could be personal training, physical therapy, whatever. I've worked in, those ends of the service with people. And it's I worked with some guys, I won't say where, I won't say who, because it's common. This goes on everywhere, so don't feel like it doesn't. But a lot of times people in this industry or related to it are not going to ask you how you feel, because they know what you're going to say. They don't want to hear it, and the reality is it doesn't matter. So had a couple of the guys that once, no, they heard me, early on, asked me, hey, how you doing today? And they're like, oh God, don't. And then sure enough, you get hit with a litany of everything wrong and why you don't want to do something, and don't want to do those leg extensions because your leg hurts today, and on and on. And don't get me wrong, there's a point to good feedback, but that's usually not the part, because how many times do you ask somebody how they're doing, and it's going to be one of two things. It's going to be, oh, good. So it was I don't feel like talking about it, and so I'm going to say good. So that's kind of the useless communication device, whatever the hell you want to call it. Or, they throw up on you mentally with every problem they've had for the last 13 years. And it's okay, glad I asked. So, reality is in most situations like that, it doesn't help. And I can tell you, we try to stay away from it, because it's it really doesn't matter. Feedback is okay, let me know if this part of your knee hurts when you do this. Okay, I will. Okay, that's feedback. That's different. The random how do you feels don't work. We run into this all the time. It's even put it in some of our little rules we have with clients, but we'll say, okay, Joyce, did that feel light, medium, or heavy? Oh, it felt okay. Felt okay. Well, what does that mean? What does felt okay mean? Or it's good, And that usually means it's good is code for it's heavy enough, please don't make it heavier, or not even please. That's their statement. It's good. Don't touch it. I'm the boss, man. It's like, well, so we don't ask that, or if we do, we ask it again and say light, medium, or heavy. But even that's kind of subjective. So, whole point of this is that we as trainers can use, the best objective part of ourselves for your workouts, and we try to do it for ourselves too. So we don't put into, how did they feel today? I mean, if we review, and I like to review workouts with everybody, and with Ellen, I'll say, so, I don't go, so how did she feel today? How did he feel? It's like, I want to look at, the chart, because we do everything by programming and stay objective. And it's like, we don't go by like, how did it feel? We will go by how did it look? Like, how was their form? Was it a moderate tempo? Did they keep good posture? Any of the rules of form we're looking at for sure, But like the rule for moving up, depending on like, let's say what the top end of the person's rep range is, and it's different for everybody, but let's say it's 20. Let's say a person has a top end of a rep range of 20 reps. And if they get 20 reps at the given load that they were assigned, and they complete it in good form, it doesn't matter how they feel. They go up in resistance, because that is the principle of progressive overload. They go up. That way we don't get into how you feel, because if we did that, we wouldn't do a lot. Probably most of us would do a lot less. So, it's charted in there. That's the objective side of us doing it for you. Okay? So we trainers can be absolutely the worst at training ourselves, because we're the same way, and we'll justify and we'll rationalize just like anybody else. So, I'll even sit down and say, all right, so, this week I need to do this, this, and this, and spell it out on certain days, and then print it, and then check it off, because then the better me is making sure that I'm doing what I need to do. And in the case of me and a lot of trainers, so it's not that you won't do it, it's that you might do too much. Well, I might do too much. It's like, well, if I'm supposed to run, say, on Tuesday and Thursday, and I haven't, I have thought about it, but it's one thing to think about it, and it's another thing to stick to your own plan that you made. Say on a Wednesday, well, I'm going to throw in some running. Well, what's that going to do? It's going to just impede my recovery. It's not planned out. Well, I just feel like doing it. Well, why? Well, I want to burn off some energy, or I felt like I ate too much. I'm going to, do this. But notice the key words are I felt like. So that usually translates into you're not doing it for your best interest. You're doing it because you feel like you ate too much. You feel like you've got energy to burn. And hey, if you've got energy to burn, go burn it. But there's better ways to burn it, like for people who are, tend to be type A's like me, you're going to end up tending to do too much. So like maybe it's a good time to take the dog for a walk, or go play a sport that's, not going to cut into your recovery or whatever. By all means, burn it off somehow, some way is better than holding on the stress and tension, but most likely there's better ways to do it. Because if you're doing another complete workout, then you're most likely not following your plan, and you're going to impede your recovery, because there's a balance between just enough, perfect amount, and too much, and there does come a point in diminishing returns where we try to do too much, we do too much, and then not only do we not reach our goals, but we go a little backwards because we've impeded our recovery. So there's a reason for planning with that, okay? So, think about that throughout your week. When you go to the gym, it truly is a luxury when you work with a trainer, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a trainer, but it really is, because you really don't have to think about it. You just have to follow your plan and do what the trainer says. And, when you're at the gym, most of the time that becomes pretty easy, and people will let go and just follow instruction and give good feedback and do what they're supposed to do. But the ones who get the absolute most out of it also do what's suggested by their trainer, who has planned it out. In most cases, I know we have, like we'll think, okay, this person should do this many minutes of cardio a week and this much in between workouts, and trying to put the right cardio on the days after workouts. So it has been planned out. Like there literally is a method to the madness. So you got the luxury of having somebody tell you that, and that's one of the things you're paying for. That and supervised training and education and all that stuff. But one of the things is, you're getting planned out. You don't have to think about it. And I can tell you that my most successful clients have just let go of that steering wheel, moved over in the passenger seat, had the plan written for them, and did it. Just did it. And the ones who don't follow it all the way, they don't get complete results. And that can go both ways. It can be the people that don't do any cardio when you plan it out for them on their off days from you seeing them, or the people that do too much, the athletes. Either way, they're not going to see the results as the person who, listen to the person using their best brain, not their subjective, feel like brain, but their best brain. And it's a lot easier to do that when somebody else is doing it for you. But they planned it out with a lot of thought. And if you don't trust it, then you probably shouldn't be working out with them, because that means you don't trust them. You have to trust the person that you're working with. So, there is a method to the madness on all of this stuff. Getting back to the in between the cardio days, it's like if you're doing let's say you're training for running events, you're training for triathlons, whatever, and you're doing a hard run on, say, a Thursday. It's, running is high impact, so it's always going to put more wear and tear on your muscles than, say, cycling or, say, swimming. So if you're doing that on a Thursday or a Tuesday, it doesn't matter. The day after should be more of an active rest day. So if you're going to do cardio, it needs to be of the lower impact variety at a lower heart rate. So again, there's a method to the madness. That way, it's getting planned out and you have just enough, say, catabolic, which is breakdown. And then when you're doing active rest on the day after, you're having an anabolic reaction, which is growth, okay? But if you're doing two hard things on your legs back to back, you're not going to get as much recovery, so you're going to get catabolic. So you always have to balance it out. These are the things we think about when we make plans, which is why it's critical to follow the plan. And if you just go by how you feel all the time, you're going to do what you're most comfortable with. And for some people, that could literally be harder style workouts. I mean, some people, they love that no man's land when they run of pretty hard, but not hard enough to see results, improved performance results, and not easy enough to build an aerobic base, but kind of in between. So again, they're going by how they feel versus the objective planning of the trainer. So there really is a method to the madness. And my point today is that you understand that there's two of you, and when you start telling yourself, well, I don't feel like it, really challenge that. Say, well, what do I mean by that? Doesn't mean you don't get injured, doesn't mean you don't get sick. Those things happen, but it's when those aren't, and those are the things I want you to challenge. Say, I really don't feel up to it today. Well, what's going on? Well, I have 101 degree fever. Okay, yep, that's legit. Really don't feel up to it today. Well, I feel a little tired, fatigued, that's laziness kicking in. That's just like common stuff that guarantee you once you work out, you're going to say to yourself, I'm so glad I did it. I mean, I had COVID in August, and, it was the bad one, so to say. It was the one that really knocks you out. And, I mean, there's no way I could have done much of anything, right? So that's legitimately being sick. The funny thing is I wanted to go exercise, not because I felt up to it, but I really, the obsessive part was going, I hate missing, I want to do this. And it's like, I couldn't. I couldn't. So that, my fever was high. I had no energy. I mean, even after a couple weeks of it, when I started to recover, because I had it bad for like 3 weeks, I still felt like crap, So there's a difference between really being sick and not feeling up to something. And only you can start to learn yourself. But if you think about it this way, if you ask yourself those questions like, what's really going on, I think you'll probably find most of the time that it's time to go do it, because you're going to feel better afterwards, So, and remember, if you've got a trainer, trust them. They plan things out a lot more than you probably realize they have. There is a method to the madness, all right? So, let's wrap this up. I want to thank our sponsors, Jonathan and Lynn Gilden of Gilden Realty Pros. They're awesome. They've been in the area a long time. They have the most 5-star reviews in the area. I can go on and on about these guys. They're both in the fitness. They're hustling all the time. They're very active. They're all over social media, which, if you know anything about the world we live in now, if you don't have a presence on social media trying to sell homes or buy homes or whatever you're trying to do, you're missing out, because that's where everything is now. And they're very active on that, and they're great. And right now it's a top prime market, but you need the right people behind you helping them. And I fully believe that Jonathan and Lynn Gilden can do that for you. If you want to reach them, they can be reached at 386-451-2414 or at thegildengroup.com. Okay? They're awesome, and I really appreciate it. They believe in this podcast, and it's a win-win. And, we can't put podcasts on the air for free. It just doesn't work that way. And so I appreciate these guys, and please, check them out at the very least, all right? Give them a call if you need help. Until next time, be Max Fit and be Max Well.